Hello, today we will be using this topographical map to display our 9-hole golf course design. But before we can look at our course design, we first need to understand what a topographic map is and how it works. A topographic map shows a two-dimensional landmass by using contour lines to depict shapes and elevation changes. To begin, it is firstly important to figure out which direction north is. In order to do that, we just need to look at the bottom left side of our map, and we can see that arrow pointing up is north. So we know that north is from the bottom side of our map to the top. Another important note before we get going is that all the numbers surrounding the outside border of our map that are below 400 are depicting the feet above sea level. So that helps us determine what our elevation is above sea level in different parts of the map. But in order to read elevation changes within our map, we firstly need to understand the difference between an index contour line and a regular contour line. If you take a look at the right of the top center of our map, you can see the number 400 is written beside a line that is a lot darker than the one surrounding it. This is the distinguishing factor of an index contour line, while the regular contour lines will not be bolded. Next, we need to count the contour intervals that are found in between our two contour index lines. If you can see here, in the area that we're talking about, which is to the right of the center of the top of our map, you can see there are 5 lines between the 375 and the 400 points that are there, which are depicting 375 feet and 400 feet above sea level. So since we know there are 5 lines, we just take 25 and divide it by 5. So this tells us that each line equates to a 5-foot change in elevation. Next, we need to know how to read the contour lines in order to find the layout of the map. The first point to look for is how close together the contour lines are. The closer the lines are together, the more severe the slope is. As you can see, looking from 3T to green, you can see the lines start further apart, and as they go down the hill towards the green, they get closer together until they reach the green where they begin to get further apart. This tells us that the most severe slope on that hole is between the tee and green, and once the green and tees are reached, the slopes are far less severe. One more point that we'd like to touch on is how you can tell there is a hill on your map. When there are rings or circles around an area that progressively get smaller, this tells us that there is a hill here. As you can see, there is a hill to the left of number 9 approach when looking at the green from the tee. But now that we know that there's a hill there, how do we determine the elevation or height of this hill? As you can see, the top of this hill says that there's an elevation of 275 feet above sea level. This, however, is not the actual elevation at the top of the hill. The way you find the elevation is by knowing where the next line would be. And we previously have learned each line is 5 feet different in comparison to the one before. So there will be an elevation change of 5 feet from line to line. But the elevation so we know that the elevation has to be between 275 feet and 280 feet. This means the range of the height is between 276 feet and 279 feet above sea level. The way we know there's a hill and not a depression is because if there was a depression, there would be tick marks around the circles or the rings that are surrounding the hill, and that is how you know it is going into the ground, not up. Now that we know how to read a map, let's take a look at our course layout.
12 yards downhill, 25 feet of elevation change between tee to green. The second hole, kind of mid-ish par 4, uphill though, 388 yards, and an elevation change from 85 feet uphill from tee to green. Third hole is a relatively short par 3. Small green, an elevation change of 95 feet from tee to green.
Hole 4 is a 270-yard par 4 facing northeast. There's a slope going up on a hill on the northwest side of the fairway. At the peak of this slope, it is 10 feet higher than the eastern side of the fairway. There are 3 tee boxes ranging from a 140-yard carry to the fairway at the back tees to a 40-yard carry at the front tees. The tee boxes in green are on roughly the same elevation with no significant uphill shots being needed. Hole 5 is a 158-yard par 3 facing northeast, hitting over the native terrain with an 80-yard carry to the beginning of the fairway from the back tees and a 60-yard carry to the start of the fairway on the front tees. The back tees are elevated 290 feet, with the green at 225 feet. As a result, this shot will be 65 feet downhill. Hole 6 is a 260-yard par 4 facing east, with the northern portion of the fairway being sloped uphill. There's a 10-foot slope to the northern to the northern hill. The elevation of the tees is at 225 feet, and the elevation of the green is at 235 feet. The hole is uphill with the green 10 feet higher than the tees.
Hole 7 is a 380-yard par 4 running north to south, teeing off at an elevation of 280 feet to a fairway with an elevation change of 20 feet from left to right, finishing into a green that is positioned only 5 feet higher than the tees. Hole 8 is a 190-yard par 3 running south to north, teeing off at an elevation of 280 feet with a fairway sloping 30 feet from right to left. This hole plays downhill to the green with a total elevation change of 20 feet. Hole 9 is a 570-yard par 5 running southeast. This hole plays in the valley bottom, starting with a dog leg left over the water into a long flat fairway. The elevation of the tees and green are both 250 feet.